Hey guys, I'm Prodigious Trip here. Been thinking about it for a while of what I wanted to do. I kind of want to talk about my 5 top favorite video game franchises of all time. And I kind of narrowed it down. These are games that I've played either since I was a kid or games that once they came out, I've had to play each game ever since because, I mean, there's a lot of games that have come out that I know of that I've played that I'm just like, oh man, like I could go back and play like the very original game, and I'm just like, I still get that same nostalgic feeling and that same like excitement and joy and stuff that I've gotten ever since I've started playing video games. And so I just figured I'd talk a little bit about some of my favorite games, and I have up here. Let's start with number 5. I have to say, I did put these in certain order. So I'd say my 5th favorite franchise of all times has to be Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts came out, I think it was for the PlayStation 2. I don't think it came out for PlayStation 1. So this came out for the PlayStation 2. So this had to be around, I think maybe early 2000s, late 90s or something maybe. I remember seeing Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters interacting with each other, and I'm just like, that seemed kind of interesting. And I never really got a chance to play it because I've always been a Nintendo guy, so I always had a Nintendo. And a friend of mine had an Xbox, and another friend of mine, he had an Xbox, and somebody else had a PlayStation. One of them did, and so that's where I got into it. So I was like, oh, let me try and play this, and it has like that, I want to say, kind of plays like, if you've never played Kingdom Hearts, it fights in real time, like an RPG. I don't really want to call it an RPG, but it's like, let's say Legend of Zelda. You know, it has that, not an open world, but it has that, you know, you have to do this quest, go this place, do that place, and you get a cool weapon. And I think you can upgrade the Keyblade. After a while, I think instead of just the Keyblade, you actually just get a new Keyblade. You can upgrade the characters because you're given Donald and Goofy are your sidekicks throughout the whole series, and it's always fun to see those two. And you can give them different, you can give them different weapons, but you can give them different upgrades. So after a while, like you can jump on each other's shoulders. You can fly, or technically glide. I think in certain areas you can actually fly. I just remember playing those games and having that like, because I always grew up with Disney, loved Disney. I always loved those movies, and the fact that they put them into the game, so you get to go to like Aladdin's world and Pinocchio, Hercules, The Lion King. I think even it may have been in the second game you could actually go to Pirates of the Caribbean, so that was kind of cool. They started throwing some live action ones in there. And I think it wasn't until the one for the 3DS came out. Yeah, you could go into the Tron world, or the grid, whatever it's called, in the 3DS game. That was called Dream Drop Distance. And I remember that because I was just like, it says 3D. And so Dream Drop Distance, I was like, oh, okay, I get it, you know. Of course, your character's name is Sora. You team up with Donald and Goofy. You're trying to find Mickey. You're trying to save all these worlds. Your Keyblade actually like is a interdimensional doorway key, and it can lock the worlds, unlock them, and you got to fight the Heartless. It was a really great concept. I was really impressed with how they did this, and I was, like I said, every time they had a game, like I had to try to play like the next one. And with Kingdom Hearts, oh my gosh, it took them I think 10 or 12 years to make the 3rd game. But they've made like so many different games on other platforms and stuff. Like the game between the 1st and 2nd game was called Chain of Memories. And again, these are all for the PlayStation, but Chain of Memories came out for the Game Boy Advanced. That was what was kind of weird. And then a bunch of other games came out, like Birth by Sleep and like 352 over 65 or something. Oh my goodness, it's a weird one. But that one came out for, those came out for like the PSP. I think some came out for the PS Vita. Can't remember. some of those I actually didn't get a chance to play. And I know I said that that's how I wanted to talk about this, as the ones I always played. But if you didn't play those games, sometimes you did miss some of the things that happened in the actual main games of 1, 2, and 3. Like in the second game, or in the first game, once you defeat Ansem and you've won the game, Mickey goes missing again, and you're just like, all right, let's go on another adventure with Sora, Goofy, and Donald. And then in the second game, it starts off with this kid named Roxas, and you're just like, who is this kid? And if you play Chain of Memories, or if you play another one, it explains that it's his Heartless, that you got turned into a Heartless in the first game, and so that became like his nobody body, and that's who Sora is. And again, you play like for almost like an hour into the game before you can actually unlock Sora and Donald and Goofy. And so it's kind of weird. So unless you play the other games, you're not going to know what's going on sometimes. You read about it. They give you like a whole timeline thing of which games to play in which order. And there's even an original game that came out for, it's like a mobile game that came out like even before the other games, but it came out in Japan. So if you had the Japanese phone thing, you could play. It was like not Halo. It was called like Kingdom Hearts Wars or Keyblade Wars or something. I don't know. It explained something about the whole Keyblade War thing and that old. I was like, okay, never played it, so I have no idea. But then like Xbox and PlayStation started bringing out the old games on like these like bundles and stuff. So I have like, I think Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. And then, I have Birth by Sleep, I have Recoded, 365 or 358 over 2 days, Chain of Memories, and then they added some other stuff too. So like, it'll say like Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, which is like the first game, but they've added, I think, a couple things in there, or they upgraded the graphics. But yeah, it's a really fun game, really fun franchise, and I've only played, well, like I said, these are the ones I've played, and Kingdom Hearts 3. There are, again, some other ones that have come out, like, I think they're working on Kingdom Hearts 4. It hasn't come out yet. I think there is another, like, side game that has come out. I don't know what it is. I haven't played it yet. But, again, these games have always been so much fun to play. Each game adds a new level of things that you can do. In the second game, you have like this Valor form, which is kind of like going, super, or powered up form, which is cool. And then in the third game, oh my goodness, I want to call it like a Final Smash or something, because you get like oh my goodness, I think it's depending on the character you have or the weapon you have. Like there's like a roller coaster that happens when you hit this button, and it gives you like this final. It just kills everybody, and I'm just like wow, and again, they just up the ante for all these games and stuff, and so it's always fun. And so Kingdom Hearts has always been one of those games that, every time I play it, or if I go back and play it, or if I see my kids playing it or something, I just have that joy of just like, oh, it's so much fun to see, it's so much fun to play. And so I recommend that game for anybody of all ages. You'll have fun. A Disney character is always great to play, or always great to see. I know they have Dreamlight Valley now, which it's not like that, but it's that's a fun game to play. I know that's a lot of people like that game. So, but Kingdom Hearts it's very different, but it always still has that more nostalgic feeling, and yeah. So, if you ever get a chance to play any of those games, go for it. They're always fun to play. So yeah. All right. So for number 4, I'm kind of cheating a little bit, because these games, I couldn't try to categorize them, because these games I'll play together with either friends or with my kids, and it's kind of interchangeable, because sometimes we'll just play either one whenever we want. And so for number 4, I'm going to put, my favorite video games go, is I'm going to put Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, and Mario Party all in the same category. And the reason I do that is because I can't say that it's Super Mario this is the game, because there's so many different characters and different things that I like to do in these games. Mario Kart itself is like beyond just fun to play. It's even come out with DLC now, so you can get new courses, new racers. Same thing with Super Smash Brothers. They've been doing that for a long time now, so that like you can have like, I don't even know how many characters are actually in these games. I mean, I have all these amiibos that have all these characters in them, and I have over like 100 something amiibos. So I don't know if there's over 100 characters or to fighting for Super Smash Brothers, but it's just one of those games that like, yeah, you could play them online, but I've never played them online. These games I've played either by myself or just with my family, and so that's kind of the games that I like. That's the reason why I saw my number 4 list, is because, or that's why all 3 of them are on the number 4 list, is because my kids are sometimes like, hey, Daddy, let's play Mario Kart. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I whoop them every time because I'm the best. And my son, he loves playing Super Smash Brothers. I got my wife to start playing it. My daughter's still getting used to it. She's not, fully understanding certain things. But that's what's great about like Mario Party is it's very simple, very easy to play. Again, it's a board game that you can play on the screen. So it's something we can all play. It's usually more of like a party game. So like if I had friends over, we would play that. If I wanted to play something online, I'd have to play like Call of Duty or Halo or something with my friends, because you get like a headset, you can talk to each other and stuff. You can't really do that with some of the Nintendo things. So I don't really play any Nintendo games online. I just usually, either play by myself or play with my family. And that's, I think, the dynamic that, especially with all these Nintendo games, they're going for. And so that's why it's on my 4 list, because, well, that's why it's number 4 on my list, is because I love playing these games with my family, with my kids. I've actually played not once, but I played a couple times with my mom on Mario Kart. She's tried it. She's actually really good. I was very surprised. She actually played Mario 64 when that came out. When I had the 64, or when I got the 64 when I was a kid, there was only a couple of games that came out at the time, and one of them was Mario Kart 64, and that's like the main thing that I think everybody thinks about when they think about Mario Kart, because they came out with one for Super Nintendo, but it wasn't as fun. It was still like, this is how they started it out, but I think it's when they perfected it was N64. You had 8 characters, you had all these levels. Oh my goodness, they were just great. And then of course they upped the ante. They had it on the GameCube, they had it on the Wii, and then on the Wii U, this is actually Mario Kart 8 came out for the Wii U, but they brought out this deluxe version for the Switch, because now they can now do DLC and stuff like that. And man, I really do love the Mario Kart. I've been playing this since I was a kid. Like I said, played with my mom when I was younger. And then Super Smash Brothers was like, if you came over to your friend's house, you were playing Super Smash Brothers. That was just a thing. It was either that or GoldenEye, but but it was, Super Smash Brothers was the other game we'd always play. And again, it's always been just so much fun. I've always loved using Pikachu. I think Rob and Falco were my other characters that I've used. They're like my main group of guys. And again, my son loves to play it. His favorite character is Link. That's kind of what got him into Legend of Zelda. He likes to play Breath of the Wild. He's trying to go through that. Because once I got Tears of the Kingdom, he was just like, I want to play it. I'm like, no, you play Breath of the Wild first. Once you beat it, then you can play Tears of the Kingdom. And it's taken him forever to beat it, because it's an open world, big game, fun game. So he loves it. But Super Smash Bros. Again is one of those, just like, it was always fun to just, you can play through the classic mode where you just, you have a character that you fight all the other characters, and you have to like unlock the other characters by doing certain things, and it was always so much fun. I think Super Smash Brothers Melee was the big one back in the day, because I think I was in college, and we used to have tournaments where we would play Melee. I know for the Wii, that was probably my favorite Super Smash Brothers game of all time, because of the Subspace Emissary. Subspace was such a great concept, giving you like a whole nother level of just like a adventure mode. Or they had adventure mode and some other things, but this was like, side-scrolling Super Smash Brothers adventure mode, where you got to go through different levels and unlock different people and fight through different. It was so much fun. They even added a bad guy for this game. His name was Taboo. That was the an actual original character created just for Super Smash Brothers. So that was kind of cool. He turned everybody into statues or the amiibos, and they had to fight through to get all of them. It was such a fun game. And of course, Mario Party. Oh my gosh, that actually started on the 64 as well. I remember playing Mario Party 1 with my cousins, and then they just came out bringing like Mario Party, 2, 3, 4. I can't remember how many they brought out for the 64, but I know they came out with one for the GameCube where it gave you a microphone. And there was one where you just had to like either blow into it or you had to say something into it. And there was a level where you would walk around, and then whoever's holding the microphone is blowing up a balloon, and whatever character has it blows up if you're holding it. It was fun. And then they have one, I think it was up to Mario Party 10, but they had some for the 3DS. And then they had the Superstars, or the latest one. So it's probably like Mario Party 13 or something. I don't know. They didn't give it that name, but again, we have it, and so the kids are just like, hey, let's play Mario Party. I was like, okay. They know how to play it. It's fun. You get dice blocks to either add to how many places you can walk. You can steal stars. You can always the little mini games are what's always so much fun. And I think that's what I really like about it is, again, it's something that, like, hey, if you're having a party or something, just put on the Nintendo something and put in one of the games, and you can just play with them. And so, like, those 3 specific games are what I put on there. I'm not going to add anything else, from Mario, because those were just specifically the games that I love to play. Just for me personally, this is my top 5 list, so that's why I kind of cheated and put those 3 games in it. But I mean, again, there's always something to play when you want to have a party, so gotta love those games. All right, so number 3, I'd have to say for my all-time favorite video game franchises has to be Halo. And I can't tell you what this game kind of just means to me. This is a game that brought me and my friends together, pretty much. Again, we'd have, come over to my house and we'll play, Super Smash Brothers. But if I went over to my friend's house, we'd be playing Halo. And after a while, like, I had to get an Xbox. I had to get this game. These were just so much fun to play. And when Halo came out, because it came out for the Xbox, so when the Xbox came out, it didn't have Wi-Fi. It didn't have internet. And so if you wanted to play something remotely, not online, but together with your friends, we would actually have these Halo parties where be like, dude, let's load up a TV, let's load up an Xbox, and let's take it over to, Chump's house, Juice's house, whoever's house, Turner's house, and we would just have like 4 or 5 TVs hooked up, and we could play, 4 people on an Xbox and have like almost 20 people playing a game. Again, and this was before, playing stuff online or and stuff. And so, like I said, we were playing online before you could play online. These games were just, again, you really couldn't customize your character. Just, you could just only look like a different color if you wanted to. But the gameplay, the story, we would play the campaign for hours, which was fun. But we would actually play like just shooting each other, even, just for fun. And oh man, that was just, it takes me back. And that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons that this game is so important to me. I remember when Halo Reach came out. Just a little backstory here. We used to have Monday night Mario Kart nights where we would play Mario Kart. I think it was for the Wii. We would play that, and we would try to get as many friends as we could. Again, you could play online, but you could not talk to each other. So what we would do is, most of us had an Xbox. So what we would do is we would get on the party chat for the Xbox, and then just change the channel to the Nintendo, and we would still talk to each other, but through the Xbox instead of that way. Well, some people didn't have an Xbox. I remember my cousin; she actually went out, bought herself an Xbox just so we could talk to each other and everything. And so we're just like, you might want to get a Halo game because that's pretty fun too. And so the one that came out around that time was Halo Reach. And this was kind of like the game that's supposed to be like before Master Chief. So you actually play as your character, which I really loved. I thought that was great because I was like, oh, I could customize my character, play as me instead of playing as Master Chief, which is the main character for all the Halo games. So you could customize it, and in the game, you could actually play a good 4 players. And so you could always have your friend, you know, there's so many videos that we've done. I'm going to have to do another video where it shows all the little clips that we've done over the years of playing that game. And that game itself, I think, is what kind of brought us all together, because we tried to play Mario Kart, and that's what we kind of started off doing. But after a while, we kind of got bored with it, and then we were all just playing Halo. And there were people that, you know, we weren't even friends with that started playing with us, that became our friends. And some of them kind of moved away, and some kind of don't play as much anymore. But for those of us who still play, there's about 4 or 5 of us. And this game is very important to us. It's just like we've been playing it since then. Halo Reach is a game that we started playing. And then we started playing, you know, the next ones that came out. I think Halo 4 was one that came out after that. It wasn't as much fun. I think everyone will say that Halo 3 was probably the best Halo game and blah, blah, blah. But for me, Reach was the best for me. I loved the power-ups. I loved having a jetpack or doing the armor lock. Oh, everybody hated it when I did armor lock, because when you did an armor lock, if you got stuck with a sticky grenade, you could armor lock and it would bounce off of you. Nothing could kill you. So like if you armor locked up and someone was trying to run you over with a ship or a warthog or something, that would automatically blow up. If someone was trying to punch you and you armor locked and you came out of it, you would automatically damage them and then punch them. And I mean, I got so many kills off of doing armor lock. I loved it. And so after a while, I don't know why, but 343 decided to nerf the armor lock so that you couldn't do it anymore, or that like if you got stuck with a sticky grenade, you couldn't just armor lock and it would bounce off. They did a lot of stuff I really hated, but again, it was just mainly just for the armor lock, because I guess everybody else complained about it so much and stuff. I was like, man, love that game. And then, like I said, Halo 4 came out, and it had some cool weapons and everything, but I wasn't really too much of a fan. Halo 5 was pretty much, I think, what me and my friends would consider probably the best Halo, because, or to me, Halo Reach was the best, but I know for everyone else, Halo 5, I have to say, was the second best to me, at least. I know that you could do the Spartan Charge, the Ground Pound, you could finally Clamor, which is like you could actually climb. If you're jumping from like one place to another, you can actually land on a ledge, climb over it. You can actually run for the first time. You could run in Halo Reach, but you had to have that like special power up in order to run. But now you just press X and you can run like you can in Call of Duty and stuff like that. So they finally added that. They had the best weapons, loved them. Fuel Rod was always my favorite gun. Halo Infinite is the newest Halo that's out, and it's okay, but they left a lot of stuff out that we loved about the other Halo games, which was just like, you know, they took away the Spartan Charge, which really sucked. They took away the assassinations, which kind of sucked as well. You could, again, it's just, there's a lot of stuff left out, and it's still a beta, and it's been out for like 2 or 3 years. And the campaign was okay. It was an open world. I don't mind those. But again, I'm just like, you know, we had Warzone and Firefight, you know, things like that, where if you had like a team of people, you know, you wanted to play those games so you could do like the firefights and waves of people coming at you and trying to stop them. Like, it's so much fun. And you don't, you know, they didn't add that to Infinite. They didn't have a whole lot of levels too. They started finally bringing out more levels for Infinite, so I don't know what exactly it is. I know that the pandemic kind of slowed things down, and then they had some firings and stuff over at 343. But for the most part, they really have just let Halo just kind of just slide. And again, it's been one of the best franchises that I've ever played. I love the story, love Master Chief, love Cortana. I love seeing the dynamic between those two, and having to see even the characters and stuff from the games, like the elites from the Covenant, and seeing how they interact and their design and stuff. And I do like the lore behind it all too. They even added some of that stuff to the show. I've been doing the review of the show. If you want to see that, go ahead and check those out. But the Halo show, they left out a couple of things, but for the most part, it's still Halo. It's still Master Chief. Just told different stuff, but for the most part, I love the Halo games. I love the the sci-fi, nostalgic around it, especially fighting aliens and super soldiers and your armor, and it's a really fun game. And now you can customize so much other stuff. But again, like the recent Halo Infinite was just, it took away a lot of stuff that we really wanted to, that we wish we had from the other games. But me and my friends, we still play it. We're just like, I'll get a text message, sometimes and be like, hey, want to play some want to play some Halo? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we'll play, and sometimes we'll get all 4 of us or 5 of us on, but sometimes one of us will be sick, or we all have families, we all have jobs and things to do, so like we don't always get to play. And so usually when we can, we try our best, and that's usually the game that we'll go to play. We've been playing some other games and stuff too now, just because we always have it's always cool to play other stuff online and stuff too. So every now and then we'll play like Rocket League or something, or some of the Call of Duty War Zones, whatever. But for the most part, Halo has always been there for us, because it was just like, hey, want to play something online? Sure. Because we always can't go over to each other's house, and especially now that since we're older, we can't always just hang out at the same place. And sometimes we have had tournaments and stuff over at each other's houses, but I moved out here to Michigan, and a buddy of mine moved out to Colorado, and and then my cousin, he moved out to, I don't know where he lives now. I don't even care anymore. It's just, he's gone. But he'll play with us sometimes too. But it's just like, every time we get online though to play, it's just like there's that friendship again, there's that connection, and we're just like, we're talking, hanging out. It's like we're in the same room almost. So that's, again, I think it's just not just playing that game, but playing it online is what gets us closer together. But that's usually the game we play if we want to play online and have this connection and stuff. And so that's what Halo's always been for us. So for number 2 of my all-time favorite video game franchise, would have to be Pokemon. And oh man, Pokemon, I think I've actually played every single game that they've ever had since Pokemon, since it came out. When I was a kid, I had Pokemon Red and Yellow. A friend of mine had Blue, but for the most part, I had Red and Yellow. And I had 2 Game Boys because I didn't have a brother or sister or anything. So I had a Game Boy, and then I had the Game Boy Color. And I was able to, back then, if you wanted to trade Pokemon with someone, you actually had to have another Game Boy, another game, and you had to have a cord that connected the games together, or connected the Game Boys. And that's how you traded. And if you wanted like an event Pokemon, you actually had to go to like Toys R Us or go to an actual specific event. They held them at Toys R Us when I was a kid. And you would actually go to the Nintendo part of the store, and they would say, all right, here, hook up your Game Boy, bring your Game Boy in your game, and they gave you the cord. They would hook it up to this big computer-looking thing where somebody else had another Game Boy, and they would trade you over like Mew or Celebi. Those were 2 specific legendary creatures that you cannot catch in the game. There was a way to glitch it in the original Red and Blue game, but it wasn't a legit Pokemon to keep. Especially once Pokemon Bank came out, you cannot trade that Mew that you got from that original game. If you glitch caught that, it would register it as a mess up, so you couldn't trade it. And if you caught any other Pokemon, like with a Game Shark or anything, like I had so many Pokemon that I caught with Game Shark that Pokemon Bank would recognize it and say like, nope, you can't trade it over because it's not a legit Pokemon, because you either caught it a certain way or you had modified it or something. And so I was just like, oh man, because I would use the Game Shark to do so many things to so many Pokemon back in the day. I remember one of my favorite memories was when Pokemon Silver came out. I had just gotten the game, and then I was about to head over to the Cayman Islands to see my cousins. And sure enough, I get this package in the mail that says, it's for your cousin Chuck Tibbetts. I'm like, what am I doing with this thing? So I'll just be like, fine. So I called him up. I'm like, is this package for you? He's like, yeah, you got to bring it up when you come visit. So I'm like, all right. So I brought it up, and as soon as I got there, the first thing I showed him was like, hey, dude, I got Pokemon Silver. What? And then he goes, give me the package, give me the package. I'm like, all right, so here's the package. He goes, I got it too. And I didn't realize that was Pokemon. It was either Pokemon Silver or Pokemon Gold that he got. I can't remember. The reason why they came out with so many different games was the original ones were red, blue, and yellow. And if you wanted to get all 150 at the time Pokemon, you actually had to trade between those two because you couldn't catch them all in those games. You could catch all the legendaries in every game. I just realized that. You could catch Mewtwo. You can catch Mewtwo and the legendary birds. You can catch them all in the original games. But you could only get one Eevee. And so if you wanted to get Vaporeon or Jolteon or whatever, you actually had to trade over another Eevee from a different game, or if somebody else had already evolved it. They didn't introduce the breeding thing until the second gen, which was Gold and Silver. And that's what me and Chuck played. And when I went to go visit him, I remember there was one day we woke up and we're just like, hey, morning. And then we just started playing Pokemon, like just all day. I don't remember going to the bathroom that day. I don't remember eating that day. I just remember it was 10 o'clock at night. Yes, it was 10 o'clock that night. My dad walks in and he goes, you guys are still just playing? What? You know what? Put the Game Boys down right now and go outside and walk around the block. And we're just like, are you serious? At 10 o'clock at night? He goes, yes. So sure enough, we walked around the block, got our shoes on, took a walk around the block, then came back in and played more Pokemon. I remember that day. It was great. Because my cousin Angela, she was playing Pokemon Red, but she hooked it up to the Pokemon Stadium. And at that time, if you had the Pokemon game on your N64, if you had Pokemon Stadium, you can hook up. They had like a Game Boy attachment so that you could play a Game Boy game on the N64, but you could actually just play it like on the TV instead of on your Game Boy. So she was playing Pokemon Red, and me and Chuck were playing Pokemon Silver. I think he got Gold, or maybe he had Silver. It really didn't matter. Again, in the games, you can catch all the legendaries, so it really didn't matter. But if you wanted to get like all the starters, if you wanted to get all the Eevee evolutions, you really had to trade over and trade over the other people, other players to get all 250 Pokemon at that time. And it was a real fun game. That's what got me into just collecting those Pokemon, was those games. I think even after a while, I don't think Chuck and Angela play anymore, but I still was playing. I had friends that were playing it. I had my buddy Sonic, he was playing. But I never really got into Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald. Those were the ones that came out for the Game Boy Advanced. I think I'd stopped playing for a little bit. And when they came out for the DS, they came out with Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. And I got Platinum. And in that game, you can catch like all three of the legendaries, because around that time they stopped doing in the Game Boy Advance games, you cannot catch all the legendaries in one game. If you wanted like Groudon or Kyogre, you actually had to have that specific game, like Ruby or Sapphire. And then in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, if you wanted Palkia, you had to have Pearl. If you wanted Dialga, you had to have Diamond. And in Platinum, you could actually catch both. And you could actually catch a couple other legendaries too, which was kind of weird. But it was a fun game. It was the fun dynamics, and it brought me back into just having fun playing these games again, of collecting. And again, you can play online now, I guess. You can fight other people, but again, these are games I usually just play by myself. After a while, my friend stopped playing it, and when I met my wife, this is a fun story. Well, we were dating. Yeah, we were dating at the time, me and my wife. And she was like, she had an iPad. She was like, oh, I got to show you this cool game. These are frogs. and you can have this frog jump over this frog. You can have I have different colored frogs. I have different spotted frogs. They come in all these different colors, and you can have them eat flies. You can have them jump on lily pads. It's a really fun game. I have like over hundreds of frogs, and I'm just like, yeah, let me show you my Pokemons. And so I pulled out my DS because yes, I had it on me, and I'm like, this is called Pokemon. You probably heard of it because the anime has been around forever, and she was just like, Pokemon, really? And I'm like, yeah, here, this is Lucario, and then he's about to kill another Pokemon, and she got hooked actually from that. She saw it. She was like, this is a fun game. And so sure enough, after we got married, like we got married August that month, or we got married in August, and in October, Pokemon X and Y came out. And so I bought her a DS, and I bought her Pokemon Y, and I bought myself Pokemon X. And again, it was just perfect because we could trade with each other, we could play with each other. And so I finally had now someone else that would actually play the games with me again, besides my cousins from back in the day, which they stopped playing. Yeah, Chuck. What? So yeah, we've been playing it ever since. So even when the newer games came out, like the newest games that have come out now are Scarlet and Violet. And so sure enough, I had to get her Violet. That's one of her favorite colors. And I got Pokemon Scarlet, and we've been playing them and trading. And even my son likes to play Pokemon too. He has the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu game. I think he beat it already. I don't know, because that's like a remake of the original Pokemon Yellow game, and it's a really fun game. Again, you can only get 150 Pokemon in that game. It just plays the original, which is fine. I don't mind remakes. I have no problem with that. I remember when they came out with Soul Silver and Heart of Gold for Pokemon. Those are remakes on the DS of the original Gold and Silver games. And for some reason, Silver and Gold were my favorite, still to this day, my favorite Pokemon games. The music in the game, the storyline, I think it was just because they also introduced metal Pokemon, and that's been my thing since, is I love Pokemon that are Steel-type, Steel-type Pokemon. And, like, I used to call myself the bird trainer Wingo. Yeah, I was a real idiot back then. And so like me and my cousins, we actually made up our own, we called ourselves gym leaders and stuff. And so we made up our own gym badges. And I remember Chuck made the Velocity badge, and Angela made the Floral badge, or Flora something. I don't know. If you're watching this, let me know in the comments or something, or call me, because I can't remember what the name of your badge was. I think I still have it too. I can't remember. I'm not going to bother trying to find it. But they were really cool, and I made mine the Wing Zero badge. Or, I'm sorry, the Wingo badge, because that's what it looked like. It looked like just a giant zero with wings. It kind of looked like the Wing House logo. Didn't want to get sued, so sorry. But mine was huge, and theirs was like an actual size of, like, the pins or the gym badge that you would get in the show. But yeah, that was fun. But ever since then, I've decided to be like a steel trainer. So every time I'm playing Pokemon, I use a steel type. I like Scizor and Lucario and yeah, Metagross. Those are some of my main Pokemon I use. I love the steel type. But the games keep on adding more. There's like, again, I started off with 150 Pokemon, and now there's over 1,000. And I'm just like, I still love these games. I still love playing them. I do play most of them sometimes by myself, but again, the fact that I could trade with my family, that's definitely upped the ante. So, and everything can be done online now, so I don't have to go to the events to get like a legendary or something. You can actually go online now, and you can do like a mystery gift. That's pretty cool, so that they can send you stuff from Nintendo directly to get the cool stuff. Again, all these games were so much fun, and I've played every single one. I've played Pokemon Cafe and Pokemon Masters, not really a fun game. They're not from like the original. It's just more of like other Pokemon games, like Pokemon Snap. That was kind of fun. But they're not like the original. They're not from like the way that the main franchise games are. And so, like, I'm gonna say it. I know a lot of people love them, but I hate Pokemon Go. I really do. I don't like it. I know a lot of people do because it's easier for them. I prefer battling Pokemon and, you know, doing it that way than just throwing a ball and hoping it'll catch it. I'm just like, ugh. I remember so many times I'll do like I've played it, so this way I can tell you why I hate it. And I hate doing like the raid battles and stuff like that because I'm like, all right, I beat the guy. Let me see if I can catch it now. And I'll have like, 15 or whatever of those premier balls that they give you to catch them in. And I'm like, all right, I'll see if I catch it. Nope. And I lost it. I'm like, come on. I spent like, I did like 2 tries trying to catch a stupid Pokemon or trying to defeat it and didn't get anything for it. So that kind of sucked. So, not really a fan of Pokemon Go. But for the most part, all the main Pokemon games franchises I've been definitely loved. So yeah. Before I get to my number 1 game, I have a few honorable mentions I want to say of games that, I've loved to play, but they didn't really fill me with this nostalgic joy that I got from all these other games. Like Legend of Zelda, these are great games. I didn't play all of them. I have been playing Tears of the Kingdom. I beat Breath of the Wild, and I remember back in the day I played Ocarina of Time, and that was a fun game. That was for the 64. I never did beat Majora's Mask. That game it's hard to beat because you only have 3 days in the game before you have to reset the days to stop this moon from crashing into the earth, and so you have 3 days to go to like one day. You can go. These take 3 days to go. Beat one temple and then reset it and then go to another temple. But I never played it consistently. So I'll beat one temple and then I'd stop for a couple of months for playing for either I'm playing something else or something else happened and I couldn't play it. And I'm just like, oh, where did I leave off at? And I have no idea where I'm at. I'm just like, ugh, because it saves completely different from some of the other games. And so once that happens, you just lose your spot and you're just you start all over. And I just really hated doing that because I've done that I think twice because I also downloaded Majora's Mask onto my 3DS. And same thing happened. I was going to play it and beat it and something came up or another game came out and I wanted to play it and I just, I stopped playing it. And so I go back, so much time later and I'm just like, I have no idea where I'm at. I got to go back and restart it. I'm like, I don't have to keep restarting this. So, but I mean, don't get me wrong. The Legend of Zelda is a great franchise. I love it, but I'm just not. I don't love it like the other games. Sorry. I guess I could just say I like it instead. Another one I'm gonna have to say is Call of Duty: World at War. Now I've played other Call of Duty games, and we're not usually playing them for the online factor or anything. We usually play them for the Nazi zombies. And this game, World at War, was one of the original Call of Duty games. This was, I think, the first one to have Nazi zombies. There was a zombie survival game at the end of it. And so me and my friends, for years, we've been playing this. It's just fun to play every now and then. I know me and Chump lately have been trying to see how high we can beat or how high we can go before we die. Usually around 16 is when we all die. We're trying to get higher, but that's our levels. I know other people have mastered the ability to beat it, and I don't know if you can actually beat this game. It's just you just die at a certain level. But that's another game that we do like to play sometimes. But again, it's not like I didn't want to put it on this list because it's not a game franchise. I know Nazi Zombies is again they're coming out with another Call of Duty game and they're going to bring it out too. So I'll bring out a new Nazi zombie game. So we might start playing that too. But for the most part, we've always tried to just play this and see how high we can get. Because, if we're not playing Halo, or just any kind of Halo, actually, we'll go back and play some other Halo games. But for the most part, this has just been one of those, oh, let's go play this real quick. I was like, okay, so sometimes we'll do that. Another game that we've played is Rocket League, and that's a really fun game. If you don't know what it is, you're basically in a car and you're playing soccer. It's a really fun game. We were trying to find something else besides Infinite sometimes because some of us have had our problems with Infinite because of the way that it's, the lack of stuff that it has or just the way that the game is played. But, I mean, for the most part, Halo is what we'll play. But we try to play some other stuff, too, so other people will have some fun playing those games. I know I've played the Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge. That was fun. We did that a couple of times as a group of friends trying to play these games. It's not, it's nothing too big. It's just like the old Ninja Turtle games, but I like being able to play it online with my friends. Another honorable mention I have to give is to GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. These are games that you can now play on the Xbox now. I remember when these came out for the 64, it was really fun. Like, it was always Super Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart that you would play on the N64, but these other games, GoldenEye was revolutionary. Just like the first-person shooter. I don't know why that was. I mean, it wasn't the very first-person shooter, but it was the first one for some odd reason that was just so much fun to play. I think it was because all the other ones were actually a one-player, and GoldenEye was actually the first one to do co-op, or where you can actually play with other people. Because I know you couldn't do it in Doom. That was one of the original first-person shooters, as well as Wolfenstein. I don't think you could do two players. I think those were all one-player games. And GoldenEye, I think, was the first one to do, because again, it came out for the 64, so you had 4 controller options. And so I think they did that so you could play with friends and stuff on there. So that was fun. But Perfect Dark, I think we liked more. I know GoldenEye was definitely the number one game for everyone else, but for me and some of my friends, I know that me and my buddy over at Jeremy's Boas, he loves Perfect Dark as well, and we'll play that game for hours too. So, but again, it's not a game that I would play all the time, and like I would definitely pick these other games that I've listed over those games, and so that's kind of why I didn't, put them on this list. But those were ones that I narrowed down. I'm like, I can't put it on the list because it's not going to be one that I know that I would love to play all the time. So, all right, so here's my number one video game franchise of all times that I love, and you probably already guessed it. It's definitely Super Mario. I have always been a Super Mario fan. I've been playing Nintendo since my very first console was the Game Boy. That was my first video. It was my first video game thing I got. My first console was the Super Nintendo, and so my very first Mario game was Super Mario Land on the Game Boy. And for games back then, once you beat it, you couldn't have it down. There was no DLC or anything. So it was like, oh, I want to get more stuff in this game. Now, but once you beat the games, usually you go back to the very beginning of the game, but they've added more bad guys or they've upped the ante a little bit, so it's like a harder level. So nowadays you can actually just choose whether you want to start off a game either on hard or, very hard or something. And this, for Super Mario Land, you just start off just playing in Super Mario. I guess it'll be just normal mode, and then once you beat it, it would automatically go to this hard mode where they've had other bad guys and more stuff to it. And it was so much fun. I remember I'd play through at least like 2 or 3 times before the batteries were run out. But those are definitely fun games. And then Super Mario World was my next game that I played. Once the Super Nintendo came out, like I said, it came out with Super Mario World. That was my first console. I remember just being like, this is amazing. Like I've never played a game where you could literally fly throughout that whole level, like through any level, because you had once you got the feather and you got the cape, you could fly throughout the whole level. Like, this was before Nintendo realized, oh, we shouldn't have Mario be able to fly forever. Like, they any other game now, if Mario has the feather or the ability to fly, it's always limited. And so I was just like, oh man. But oh man, that game was so much fun. And it was a 2-player, so I got to play with some of my friends. But you couldn't play against each other. It was always just like you take turns, which was fine. But it was just more of like I do like the games where you could play at the same time or against each other, which is why I like Super Smash Brothers and some of these other games. They've actually had some of the newer games, like the new Super Mario Brothers or the Mario Brothers Deluxe. They have those where you can play with another character, or four people can play at the same time on the same level. So you're jumping on each other, you jumping on other stuff, and it makes the game so much more fun to have other people play with you. But just even the individual games like Mario Odyssey, Mario Sunshine, or Super Mario 64, games where you got to play just you by yourself. Oh my goodness, they're not necessarily open world, but the worlds are so big and so much fun to play and to be a part of, and to see how it's grown, and how like back in the day, I thought the N64 had the best graphics. I did. I was like, look at the graphics on this thing. And then I'll say that for the next, for the GameCube, and then for the Wii, and then the Wii U and Switch. And I'm just like, they always had a fun game, and they always had a good story. And actually, there was no story for Super Mario. It's always just rescue Princess Peach. She's kidnapped again. I think the only one that actually had like a story was Super Mario Galaxy, where you kind of learned a little bit about Rosalina, that she is technically the game ends with her reading, or you're reading a passage of her book where she talks about her father with the mustache, but it says something about him being the left-handed or whatever. It's really weird. And so you're just like, oh, Rosalina is Mario's daughter. That's so cool, or whatever. No, you find out that she's Peach's daughter, but she's not Mario's daughter. It really is weird. Like, I think there's a game theory that Luigi is Rosalina's dad, because Rosalina, it talks about her coming from 100 years in the future and coming back, and I don't know how the time travel works or whatever, but it's really weird. So I'm just like, Luigi and Peach get together, and so I guess that means that I think Princess Daisy and Mario get together or something. I don't know. It's always weird because you always expect Mario and Peach to end up together or something, but I don't know. It's like the whole Legend of Zelda and Link thing. You're just like, you want Link and Zelda to be together, but they never can, they never will, and it's just like, whatever. But other than that, from the side, that it was just, I've always played a Mario game. Every time it came out, I had to play it. Again, they were always very simple, very easy to play. So much, to do. It's always been simple so that anybody can play. My son loves playing Mario Odyssey. He thought that was one of the greatest games. Like, he still likes playing that one over Breath of the Wild, but again, different kind of game, different franchise. And just, I'll always be a Mario fan. I loved how they even came out with the movie just recently and stuff, and we're just like, yeah, that was great. That was a great movie. So I've always been a Nintendo fan, but I gotta say there's some games I love, like Halo and Kingdom Hearts, that are not Nintendo. But again, these games I grew up with, these games that have always been a part of me, I know how they kind of shaped me, the way I think about certain things, and when I play with other people. So yeah, just wanted to get that off my chest. I know this is a really long video, so sorry, but I figured I might as well just tell you that one. So all right, so you guys have a good day. Peace.